So you're thinking of coming off birth control, but you are afraid of the side effects. This video will help you figure out how to do it with minimal disruptions to your body. My name is Eleni. I'm a nutritional therapist, and I help women like you get rid of bloat, cravings, food sensitivities, PMS, and improve their metabolism without giving up all the foods that they love. If you're on hormonal birth control and you're thinking about coming off, but you're nervous about the potential side effects of doing that, or you're worried that all the symptoms that you had before going on birth control are just gonna come back as soon as you come off, this video is for you. I am going to teach you exactly what you need to do to make sure that your body does not go spiraling out of control as soon as you stop birth control. I have worked with a lot of women who decided that they didn't want to be on birth control anymore. It didn't feel right for them anymore and they wanted to come off, but they were really nervous that when they would come off, they were gonna have all the symptoms that they used to have, like bloating, acne, hair loss, mood swings, cravings, difficulty with their weight, cramps, heavy periods, irregular periods, maybe not even getting their period back in the first place, all that good stuff. So we put together a plan to make sure that their bodies were equipped to deal with this transition. And guess what happened when they came off birth control? Nothing. No breakouts, no painful periods, no cramps, no mood swings, no hair loss, no acne, which obviously they were really, really happy about. Before we get into how I help these women bring balance back into their bodies, even during a transition like coming off birth control, and how you can do the same thing for your body, don't forget to subscribe with the notification bell and leave a comment down below with any questions that come up for you. Now, I want to start by saying a couple really important things. Number one, I am not a doctor, and I am not suggesting that you come off birth control. That is not a recommendation that I am making for you. This video is for educational purposes, and whether or not you come off hormonal birth control is always a decision to be made between you and your doctor. And number two, a lot of women go on birth control because they are told that birth control will quote unquote fix all the symptoms that they're experiencing, like PMS, PMDD, hair loss, hormonal acne, irregular periods, painful periods, missing periods, mood swings, hair loss, fatigue. But what you need to understand is that birth control was created to prevent pregnancy. But a lot of women are using it for symptom suppression, not really pregnancy prevention. So I want to get one really important thing out of the way, and that is hormonal birth control does not balance your hormones. All it does is cover up symptoms, and that's if you're lucky. A lot of times women go on birth control and they actually end up with either worse symptoms or they have all these new symptoms that they never even had before. Like I said, it does not fix your period, it does not balance your hormones, and it doesn't actually fix anything at the root cause level. It's just a band-aid. You don't have period problems and hormone problems because you have a birth control deficiency, right? Like, that's not a thing. And it's also really important to note that there is no judgment here, and I totally get it. I actually was on birth control years ago because I had such bad PMS, and I was actually diagnosed with PMDD. So I was told by my doctor that I should take birth control so that I could just not get a period and I wouldn't have to deal with any of those symptoms. Because I was breaking out really bad, I was depressed for 2 weeks before my period, I couldn't get out of bed some days, I would have to take days off of school. I mean, I was a mess and it was really bad, so I totally get it. I understand that you can be extremely miserable and feel like birth control is your only option, because that's how I felt, and I did use it. But it's still true that it didn't actually fix anything, and it really was just a band-aid for me. And like I said, I had really bad period cramps, so if you want to learn more about period cramps and how you can get rid of them in 3 really simple ways, you can click here and watch my video on that. But my periods were super irregular. I mean, there was a time where I didn't get it for 2 years, then I got it back for a year, and then I lost it for a year, and then I got it back again, but I started getting it about every 2.5 weeks. So I have seen everything. I have been through all the hormone imbalances. I mean, my periods really were a mess. So of course I went to talk to my doctor, and my doctor told me, hey, guess what? You actually don't need to get a period. There's no reason for you to have a period. You can just take birth control and say goodbye to the whole thing. So I thought, okay, that sounds great. I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna take birth control. But then I realized this doesn't feel right. I don't think taking synthetic hormones, because that's what hormonal birth control is, I don't think taking synthetic hormones is really fixing anything in my body, so I decided to come off of it. So again, like I said, no judgment here. I have been there. I have taken birth control. I get it. Again, like I said, that does not change the fact that it actually didn't fix anything for me, but I get it. I have used birth control as a way to suppress symptoms rather than using it as pregnancy prevention. No judgment here. So it makes sense that you're nervous to, I guess, rip that band-aid off and come off birth control, because that birth control band-aid is what's holding things together right now, and you might be feeling like, oh God, I don't know what's gonna happen when I come off of it because things were a mess going on it. I can't even imagine what it's gonna be like after I take those synthetic hormones out of my body. I think my body is just gonna freak out. Because here's the thing, if you have these symptoms, all these symptoms right here, if you have these symptoms, birth control is not going to fix it. It's just gonna be a band-aid. And a lot of women still feel terrible on birth control because it either doesn't help with their symptoms, or it just makes new ones, or they do feel better on birth control and birth control successfully did suppress symptoms, but then they realized that they went on birth control because their body was out of balance, and their body is still out of balance, but birth control is just doing a decent job of hiding it right now. And they want to get off because they want to actually fix the problem, and they want to go about things in a more natural, holistic way, but they're terrified of what might happen when they come off. Because not only has birth control been working as a band-aid to cover up what's really going on, but hormonal birth control can actually have some really nasty side effects that you might not even be aware of, on top of what you were already dealing with. It can lead to gut problems, skin issues, hair loss, nutrient deficiencies, anxiety, depression, low libido, thyroid disruption, and it can increase your risk of some pretty serious things like certain cancers, diabetes, and blood clots. But I know I made that sound really hopeless and like you are doomed to suffer, but I promise you are not. You might suffer if you don't prep your body in the right way, but if you take the steps that I'm about to share with you, you've got this. We can make this a much smoother transition for you, and you don't need to stress about what might happen when you come off. Because I promise you, you are in so much more control of your body than you might think. All right, step one is to support your body's detox pathways. And when you hear the word detox, you might be thinking of things like juices, salads, lemon water, celery juice, but that is not at all what I'm talking about. Detox teas and juices, all they really are just bowel movers. They don't actually detox anything, they just get you going to the bathroom. So supporting your body's own natural detox system is way different than going on a juice cleanse. You've got multiple organs in your body that are responsible for helping you detox naturally, but one of the most important ones is your liver, and you are really going to want to pay attention to your liver and support that liver really well, because your liver is responsible for helping your body detox excess hormones that it doesn't need, which includes the synthetic hormones in hormonal birth control. There are a number of ways that you can support your liver, and we're gonna break this up into two categories. Category one is giving, and category two is emptying. So in category one, you are going to focus on giving your liver the tools that it needs to do its job effectively. And you'll hear people say, oh, anyone who's telling you to do some sort of detox is lying to you. Your body already does that on its own. You don't need anything special. And they are right. You can't make your body do any sort of extra detox because it is very smart. It does have that system and it does it on its own. If we didn't already have a built-in detox system, we would become so toxic that we'd basically become poisoned and die. I mean, just think of all the really toxic things that you come into contact with every day. Your body is really, really good at getting rid of that stuff. But here's where they get it wrong. Your body doesn't run off of thin air, right? So your detox organs, your liver actually needs tools in order to function properly. Your liver needs certain nutrients in order to do its job well. So if you don't give your liver those nutrients, it's not going to be able to do its job as optimally as it could. So while it's true that a tea or a juice won't actually detox your body, you do have some power and you can give your body the tools that it needs in order to do its job really well. So what are the nutrients that your liver needs? It needs vitamin A, B vitamins, vitamin C, vitamin D, vitamin E, lecithin, zinc, amino acids, glycine, choline, and so much more. This is not an organ that can just function on its own without getting the fuel and the tools that it needs. So where you have the power and what you can do is make sure that you get these nutrients on a regular basis. Some really great food sources to help you hit these nutrients are eggs, fruit, bone broth, oysters, liver, beets, garlic, green tea, good quality dairy, chicken, beef, and salmon. Now, obviously, these aren't the only foods that contain those nutrients, but these are some really good ones to include. Now, in the second category, which is emptying, you should be focusing on emptying your liver liver burden bucket. So imagine your liver is carrying a bucket, and the heavier the bucket is, the harder it is for your liver to do its job, which obviously you don't want. You want your liver's bucket to be as empty and light as possible. So what types of things would make your liver's bucket feel really heavy? This would include drinking a lot of alcohol, consuming a lot of vegetable oils like canola oil and soybean oil, using poor quality supplements, not managing your stress, and not getting enough sleep. So your job, what I want you to do is take a minute to think about all these things. How much are you drinking? How much stress are you under? Are you managing your sleep? Are you prioritizing sleep? How many foods in your house have these vegetable oils? And if you're using poor quality supplements that maybe you got at the grocery store or the drugstore. And then what sort of adjustments or upgrades can you make in this category to help your liver lessen that burden and empty its stress bucket? All right, step 2 is to replenish the nutrients that birth control actually depletes. Something you may not know and that maybe was not shared with you when you went on birth control is that birth control actually depletes a bunch of nutrients that your body needs in order to have energy, clear skin, nice shiny hair, a good metabolism, good digestion, and good stable moods. So when you're on hormonal birth control, you need to make sure that you're eating a really nutrient-dense diet so that you can help to make up for those nutrients that are being lost. And it's really good to start thinking about these things while you're still on birth control, because if and when you decide to come off, you're not coming off super depleted. You're coming off in a state where you've been paying attention, you've been giving your body a lot of good nutrients, and it's not so depleted. Because these nutrient depletions can lead to a lot of the symptoms that you might be worried about running into when and if you do come off hormonal birth control. The main nutrients that get depleted by hormonal birth control are B vitamins, zinc, folate, copper, selenium, and vitamin C. So what you need to do is make sure that you are eating foods that are really high in those nutrients. This includes eggs, shrimp, chicken, beef, liver, oysters, potatoes, sweet potatoes, and all kinds of fruit. Step 3, this is a big one. Step 3 is to make sure that you are balancing your blood sugar. Balanced blood sugar is so important. Blood sugar balance is key when it comes to getting rid of problems like acne, hair loss, mood swings, cravings, insomnia, anxiety, stubborn weight, PMS, PMDD, irregular periods, painful periods, fatigue, energy crashes in the afternoon, insatiable hunger and cravings, irritability, and headaches. One of the biggest mistakes that I see women make is they are eating diets that are basically setting them up for failure all day long. It's not so much about what they're eating, although that does matter for sure, but it's more about how they're eating those foods. That really sets them up to be tired and moody and have cravings in the short term, but also in the long term, it sets them up for hormone imbalances, a slow metabolism, PMS, acne, hair loss, mood swings, painful periods, and stubborn excess weight. So these meals usually look like oatmeal with peanut butter for breakfast, or something like a fruit smoothie for breakfast, and then some sort of vegetable soup for lunch, and then for dinner they're having pasta with spaghetti sauce. So the problem here is that these meals are super low in protein and they're really high in carbs. Now, I am a huge fan of carbs for women, so the carbs are not the problem. But here's what happens when you have mostly just carbs for a meal. So something like a smoothie made with frozen berries and almond milk, or something like a bowl of oatmeal with berries on top, you get a big blood sugar spike. And at first, right after you eat the meal, you might feel pretty good because carbs give you a lot of quick energy. So right after you eat, you might feel okay, but then like an hour or so after eating, you might start to feel really sluggish, really tired, you can't think clearly, you're not as sharp, you just feel like you're slowing down. And maybe even energy-wise, you feel okay after you eat, but you always have to have something sweet after every meal. Or you could just keep eating and eating and you're never really satisfied. Then by the afternoon, you're totally exhausted. All you want to do is lay down on the couch and scroll on your phone, watch TV, or watch Netflix while you're on your phone. You just don't have the bandwidth for anything. You're tired, you want to take a nap. That's how it usually goes. Or maybe you can't do that because you're in the middle of a work day, so you have to rely on coffee and caffeine, and that perks you up for a while, but then you get that second win later at night and it's hard for you to fall asleep. And it becomes this really messy, vicious cycle where you get this burst of energy and then you crash in the afternoon and then you do caffeine and then you can't sleep at night and then you wake up tired. So then you have the carbs and you have more energy and then you're tired. Like, it never ends. Like I said, the problem here is not really the carbs. The problem here is that we are lacking protein to work with the carbs. And I noticed that women in general tend to undereat. Just in general, they're undereating. But a lot of women are mostly undereating protein. But then, of course, at the same time, I also see women restricting carbs. So it's either not enough protein or it's not enough carbs. Like, there's just no balance for a lot of women. When you balance your plates with a good balance of protein, carb, and fat at every single meal, that really sets you up for for success. That's gonna help you wake up with energy and maintain that steady, nice energy all day long until it's time to go to bed. This is really important because many of the symptoms that you might have gone on birth control for in the first place are at least partly due to blood sugar issues. So you really wanna get this right because you don't wanna throw your body back onto a blood sugar roller coaster when you come off birth control. All right, make sure you subscribe with the notification bell to make sure that you get all the new content that's gonna be coming every week, and comment below with any questions you have. All right, I will see you in the next video. Bye, you guys.